Danielle, thanks very much for joining us. Give me an update on the strategy, and particularly in terms of retail. I think it's interesting, given that there's a very negative sentiment currently in the market about retail. What are you seeing there? What are the key trends, and what are you finding attractive?
Sure. So at Thor Equities, we actually are invested in lots of different types, right? Mixed use, ground up development, logistics. We've just started to get into in a big way, and in the US, life sciences, which we think is a really popular thing that's going to come along. And so our traditional focus has always been retail, and that's what we've bought primarily over the last couple of years. And so it's interesting. I think we feel that retail is growing, and in different ways than it used to be. So we used to be a very big high street retail group. We would buy lots of high street retail, Fifth Avenue, Madison Avenue, Oxford Street. And now we're starting to branch out into what I'd consider neighborhood retailer, or cities that have interesting neighborhoods. So Williamsburg of Brooklyn, for example, or Fulton Market in Chicago, or Wynwood in Miami. So those types of tenants are more rent sensitive, but they're also a lot of clicks to bricks, where they want to experience something with their customers. And we're in these markets where millennials are coming to live, work, play, and they want to be there. So there's a big focus on F&B. There's a big focus on experiential retail, like Warby Parker coming to Wynwood. And we're trying to capitalize on that by doing interesting projects that fit the neighborhoods, but also are attracting those types of retailers. And the interesting thing about that is those retailers want to be in all of those locations. They want to be in Williamsburg, they want to be in Wynwood, and they want to be in Fulton Market. So they really appreciate a landlord who has that vision and is able to tell them, oh yes, we're developing here and here. And so we have some really interesting things in the pipeline, including retailers that you would never expect, who are maybe just online, who are doing their first stores with us. So for example, in our Flatiron district in New York City, we have a completely tech company called Mirror, right? They just started, they launched in September. It's literally a mirror where it's Peloton for bar exercises, Zumba, yoga, and everything else. And their very first experiential retail store is with us. And so I think we've done a great job of being able to identify those types of tenants and attract them to our product, which is a pretty interesting way of thinking about retail now, as almost an offset of the tech industry.
And that sounds also as though you're curating it rather, and particularly trying to find different brands that go with the lifestyles of the people who are there, which is in essence kind of creating a community almost around that. How important is the sort of mixed use element of that there's F&B, there's people who are living there and are going out, and it's a sort of vibrant neighborhood?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I think F&B is becoming the most critical piece of retail today. Everyone wants to experience someone else. When you're on your phone all day, or you sit in front of a computer all day, the only thing you want to do on your off time is go spend time with people. And so we're seeing food especially as the biggest driver of that. And so in areas like Wynwood and in Fulton Market, those areas have become burgeoning areas precisely because of their food and beverage scenes. And so now the retail is starting to come in because of the amount of people that are there. So we think it's critical, and I think we've tried to, especially in our ground up mixed use projects, think about how we can incorporate F&B in a creative way so that we're able to attract those tenants and then therefore other tenants, right? So we have a huge ground up development happening in Chicago, 450,000 square feet, that was just approved a couple of days ago by the community boards, so we're very excited about it. And we've envisioned the second floor as a restaurant, which I think 5 years ago you never would have thought, right? It would have just been traditional office space, but now we're seeing that as an amenity to the rest of the building.
Are you doing the same kind of thing in the European markets?
Yeah, so I think, we were, like I said, on Oxford Street, or in Paris, we were on the Champs-Élysées, and now we're in the neighborhoods, talking about interesting streets on those neighborhoods where Parisians are shopping, but also you're now getting tourists who don't want to just visit the Champs-Élysées. They want to experience real Paris. And so where are those neighborhoods? And maybe we're not attracting the Hermeses of the world, but you're looking at real retailers who have real businesses, who want to be in one specific location, and we're able to target them. So we do a lot of retail leasing in-house, which allows us to really get a pulse on the market because we're talking to tenants directly, and then that sort of feeds our acquisition pipeline. So right now we have actually a tremendous development happening on Gran Via in Madrid, which will be 23 residential condos and a ground floor retail space that we're completely redoing that will be a flagship type of location. So that's more traditional retail. And then we're looking at some things in other areas of the UK and in Paris that will be untraditional, just like Fulton Market in Chicago.
So those are the kind of areas that you're particularly looking for. Are you looking at across all the markets in Europe or mainly Western Europe? What's the focus there?
Yeah, so our retail is really focused on Western Europe for the most part. The logistics business is more focused on Western and Eastern Europe. But I think for right now, we're concentrated more on Western Europe. So we already have assets in Milan, Paris, Madrid, Cannes, London, and looking to expand in those markets and more.
Thanks very much. Great to learn a bit more about what you're doing at the moment, Danielle.
Thank you for having me.